What's going on, everybody? This is James Zapp from the Dapper Den Barbershop in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Today we're not going to be going over any type of review or anything, but today we're going to be going over something really important, and it's a history lesson. But it's a history lesson that I think all barbers should know. So thank you so much for tuning into the channel. If you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe, like, share, notify button down below. We would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. So if you're just starting out with barbering, or even if you've been barbering for a while, you know that there is some history that you need to know about barbering. At least in the state of Connecticut, where I am, part of the test does require some history of barbering, whether that's what is a tonsorial artist, or what does the barber pole mean, or something like that. It's all stuff that you need to learn that will most likely be in the My Lady book. I'm not sure if everyone uses that. I know in Connecticut we use the My Lady or Milady book, but I'm not going to be going over history like that. I'm going to be going over history that barbers should know, and that is the history of Wahl. Now, I know what you're thinking right now is, why are we going over the history of Wahl, a certain company and everything like that? Well, this video is not sponsored. Let me start with that. They have not paid me or done anything to do this video. I'm doing this on my own because you need to understand that Wahl has had some huge impacts on the barbering community, and it's been around for over 100 years. So like any history lesson or history story or anything, let's start at the beginning. We go all the way back to the year 1911, and we are introduced to a man named Leo J. Wahl. He is currently attending Sterling High School in Sterling, Illinois. When Leo J. Wahl was a junior at the Sterling High School, he started doing some experiments and some inventing things, and he started working with electromagnetic motors. He started tinkering with this idea of making a motor for a personal medical massager and using this electromagnetic motor inside of that massager. With this brilliant idea that Leo had, he decided to take it to his uncle, Frank Wahl. The two of them decided it'd be a good idea to start manufacturing these, so they opened up a small plant in Sterling, Illinois. Move forward a couple years, and now his uncle, Frank Wahl, has to go to the Mexican Revolution and fight in the war. So Leo took over the business. With Leo taking over the new business, he started to work on some more inventions that he had planned. And one of these inventions he had planned was something for an electric type of clipper for barbers to use. Move forward to the date of October 14th, 1919. Leo actually created a patent for his new electromagnetic clipper. Now, this was a very new invention because it was the first time that there was a drive motor inside the hand. Some barbers before might have been using a clipper that had a clip on it and it had a motor somehow off on the side, or a shaft or a flexible tube or something like that. But this was a brand new thing, and barbers definitely took notice of this. It was making their haircuts faster and cleaner and more precise. By the end of 1920, Leo Wahl had sold over 1,000 of these devices. And even with all of those sold, he didn't stop. He was talking to barbers and seeing what else they needed to make their job a little bit easier. On February 2nd, 1921, Leo J. Wahl took 100% of the stock and shares in the Wahl Manufacturing Company that he started with his uncle Frank. They then decided to rename the company Wahl Clipper Corporation. Fast forward almost 20 years to the 1940s. Wahl Clipper Corporation is blowing up at this point in the barbering community. They actually installed their own plastic molding device, which could speed up the manufacturing process of their electromagnetic clippers. This now gave them time to focus on other inventions they can do, such as attachment combs for the actual clipper itself, shears, shear sharpeners, curling brushes, and even combs. But a big thing they invented in the 1940s was actually the silent hair dryer. Hair dryers were invented back in, I think, 1890s to speed up the process of drying hair. And until then, there weren't really many things that happened with hair dryers until Wahl Clipper Corporation came around and invented a silent hair dryer. Now, when I say silent, it wasn't absolutely quiet, but it was a huge improvement from the original one that was invented, which was pretty loud. I don't want to say it was like a jet taking off, but it was a loud device. Now, in the 1950s, Leo J. Wahl started to notice that barbers really wanted these clippers and other things that they were making. So he decided to go worldwide with the company. He started making different voltages so people could use it in Europe and other countries. And then they started to open up a manufacturing plant in Canada. Unfortunately, in 1957, Leo J. Wahl passed away. But this didn't stop Leo J. Wahl's vision and the company's vision itself to continue innovating and creating more products to help barbers. Shortly after Leo died, the company had an idea to create a flexible blade electric razor. Now, the electric razor was invented a while ago by a man named Schick, which we all know Schick razors have been around for a long time. But with this flexible blade on top of the electric razor, this would start to pave the way for what we now know as a profoil in the barbering world. And Wahl didn't stop there. In the 1960s still, after they came up with the idea for a flexible blade on an electric razor, they also came up with a vacuum clipper. Some of you might know this as the Flowbee, but the Flowbee wasn't popularized until the 1980s. When they first introduced it at trade shows, people were so impressed with the fact that a man in a suit could get a haircut and there wouldn't be any hair left on his suit. This became known as the Vac Clipper. It's just what it sounds like. It's a clipper with a vacuum attachment. A year after that, in the 60s, in 1966 actually, Wahl invented their first rotary type motor to put in clippers, which we know that a rotary motor is pretty powerful and was used a lot. A year after that, in 1967, they invented their first battery charged clipper. And this was huge because we all know that sometimes having cords can be a huge pain in the ass, but now that we have a battery one, that's fantastic. And this was just in 1967. So needless to say, Wahl was doing very well. They were selling a ton of clippers, they were selling a ton of products, and everything was going really well. And then in 1977, they came up with another idea. It was the first ever hygienic, battery-operated nose and brow trimmer. Now, if you've ever had to trim your nose hair, you know that plucking them is the worst. You could wax them, it feels a little bit better than pulling one out by one, but most people usually just have a battery-powered nose trimmer that they stick up there and it cuts all the hair. So thank you, Wahl Company, for keeping our noses clean. So from then on, Wahl just created so many more things. They started doing styling products, they started doing consumer products like beard trimmers at home, nose trimmers for home, which, you know, you could have probably bought a nose trimmer at home even when they first made it. They started making more vac clipper things at home for when you're trimming a beard and you don't leave hair in the sink. Then lithium ion came out. They started putting lithium ion into their clippers, which was great for the barber because now we have a longer lasting clipper. Fast forward to the year 2022. Now, Wahl is now over 100 years old. They're in their fourth generation of family members working together to try to get barbers what they need and make their lives easier. They've expanded their headquarters and built a 40,000 square foot building for their headquarters in Sterling, Illinois, where it all started with Leo J. Wahl. So if you made it this far in the video, one, thank you so much, I appreciate that. And two, you might be asking yourself, why did I have to sit through that entire history lesson that you just talked about? It's important to understand the history of the industry that we're in and the advancements that have been made. And Wahl has been a huge proponent in the history of barbering. They've constantly strived to do things to make your life easier as a barber. With the inventions that they've made and the patents that they have, they are continually striving to continue to be the leader in the barbering industry. And I am very excited for what might come in the future. When I spoke to Wahl at the Connecticut Barber Expo, which I'll leave a link to right up here, they said there are some big things to come in the future, and I don't doubt that. I know they have teams out there inventing stuff and coming up with new ideas to just make our lives easier. There really is no gimmicks with them. It's the real stuff that's going to make your life so much better. So thank you so much for watching this history lesson. I hope you guys learned something about the invention of the clipper and everything that Wahl has done for us in the barbering industry. Please be sure to subscribe again if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. I'm going to leave Wahl's website down here so you can check out their stuff. I'm also going to leave the Dapper Den website down there so you can go check that out as well. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. And thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.